All right. Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Before Coffee, here with the people who are already awake and on Discord. That's right. I totally did not sleep in my office last night and just rolled out of bed onto the camera.
So now?
I said I totally
never
did.
mind.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Hello.
Hello. Everyone's
I can't
awake.
see you at all.
Yeah.
You're. I said you're.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you're well lit on camera, but I can't see you.
I think it's because I have a window behind me, and that window is very bright. So I could put my camera here, but then I'll never look at you. I'll just be looking over there.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you look at me.
Okay.
All right. Your headlines.
On my first headline, 8 people died at Jehovah's in Hamburg. Perpetrator may have been a former member.
Heat takes toll as Iditarod mushers trek across Alaska.
Wow. I totally forgot about that happening right now.
Go.
Minister Cowpers is taking into account a significant increase in healthcare costs.
Prosecutors signal criminal charges for Trump are likely. Guess which case?
Oh. UN buys tanker to prevent oil spill in Yemen.
I accidentally closed my other story. Woohoo! Let me see what other stories we can dig up off the top of the story here. Top of the Robert Blake dies. All that and more. Today's March 10th, 2023 edition of Before Coffee. Roll.
Oh, sorry.
I can hear it. I can
Yes,
hear
your
it
audio
playing.
is better. This time
Yeah,
I turned
right.
off the noise filter because yesterday I realized you were talking a little too quietly and the noise filter was filtering out anything below like 20 or not 35 decibels or something. So I just turned it off today. As long as you don't I don't know.
I could try to find a higher octave, maybe. Higher octave like this.
No,
I
the
talk
reason
like
I
this.
turned on that noise filters because originally you had a cricket playing in the background of one of our reaction videos, and I was like, that cricket's gonna get on my nerves in the edit, so let me just erase it from existence by having a noise gate so that the cricket wouldn't be heard at all. Because it was that one episode where we filmed in the garage, right in the...
Yeah, long ass time ago, because they ain't been crickets since
Yeah, I know, but
September,
I'm just saying,
October.
I originally had it.
All right, well.
First,
I didn't.
news story. 8 people died at Jehovah's in Hamburg in a shooting at a Jehovah Witnesses prayer house in Hamburg. The police believe that the perpetrator is among the dead. In addition, several were injured. The shooting took place last night at the prayer house in the Gross Brush district. The motive of the perpetrator is not yet known. According to Der Spiegel, it would be a man who is a former member of the community. He would be between 30 and 40 years old. At noon, police will hold a press conference about the shooting. Security sources report that the DPA news agency, among others, that the police think it is a so-called amoktat, a murder committed by a loner who usually acts from personal motives. A local resident told DPA she heard 4 rounds of shots, with intervals ranging from 20 seconds to a minute. From her window, she saw a man rushing to the top floor. He was dressed in dark clothes and walked very fast. A police spokesman says officers heard a gunshot upstairs after entering the property and found several dead and injured. Officers who went to look on the floor above also found a dead person there, possibly the perpetrator or one of the perpetrators. Chancellor Scholz among others, has reacted to the horror to the shooting. My thoughts go out to the victims and their families, the mayor of Hamburg, Peter Sietzker. Oh, no. I can't speak German. I can speak Dutch, not speak German.
Peter something. Something.
Sietzker also expressed dismay at the shooting on social media. It's a crazy name, like.
Unimportant to the story. Some witness, his name is unimportant.
The Dutch branch of the Jehovah's Witnesses is also shocked by what happened in Hamburg. Remember, because I'm reporting this from a Dutch news agency, so you got to give the Dutch angle to why.
Yeah, it's
not.
Dutch people. It's not terribly funny, but it's not terribly humorous. So
I think it's funny that they have to suddenly put a paragraph there saying also Dutch people are affected by this. That's what I think is funny.
I get it.
We are grateful for the valuable support and assistance provided by the government and emergency services to the victims and those involved. Like Schultz,
absolutely
he says that his thoughts go out to the victims and their loved ones.
I absolutely see Dutch being involved in this. It's like United States is a bunch of states. You're no different. You don't get any real like. Huh? I'm just saying, it's like a shooting happened in another state next to us. It's the same thing. It's the same. It's just another country, but it's very close. How far is Germany? An hour and a half?
Yeah, I mean, we're a small country, that's true.
A lot of people don't know how big Europe is or what the size of Europe is. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't discount anything in another state next to me, so another country next to me wouldn't be any different. Anyway. It's messed up.
Yeah. Very sad.
I'm not about, I can't.
But at least they
can't make light of it.
Maybe already know who did it. They're not really sure. That's what's worrying about it. They're not.
The guy got away.
Sure who the perpetrator is, but they assume it might be somebody who's already dead in the building because they never saw anyone leave. They have no witnesses of anyone leaving the area. So.
Sounds grossly incompetent, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the gross incompetence, I guess. They don't know who did the shooting. Even if the person's there or not.
They believe that the perpetrator is the one who's dead on the top floor. There could have been more. There could have been more perpetrators, but they have to do more detective work, right?
Okay.
To discover
a developing situation. Yes. For all I know, he's still in the loose.
Yeah, it says here we have no indications that the perpetrator is on the run, but we rather have indication that the perpetrator is probably in the building, is probably among the dead. That's
okay.
What they're saying.
Well, a developing situation.
Yeah. For your story.
Nothing cheerful here either.
Okay.
Heat takes toll as Iditarod mushers trek across Alaska. Every year they have this Alaska race. It's about 1,000 miles from, I think it's Anchorage to Nome. Called the Iditarod. Just a little background. This is from the AP. Sorry.
What are you apologizing?
Mushers, because I've got to swallow.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear it.
Mushers and their dogs in the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race face plenty of variables in the Alaska wilderness. An unexpected one this year has been heat that is taking toll in a sport better suited for temperatures well below zero. Jason Mackey said the thermometer hanging from the back of his dog's sled hit 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 26 Celsius, at one point this week as he camped along the trail while mushers neared the halfway mark of the race. Other racers threw their game plans for the 1,000-mile, 9-kilometer race across Alaska out the window to deal with the heat and messy trail conditions. Although it's warm, it wasn't 80 degrees in the interior Alaska, which would probably be a record high in July, said Brett Schneider, a climate scientist for the National Weather Service Alaska region. Instead, when you leave a thermometer in the sun, it absorbs the solar energy, which is the reason official measurement thermometers are kept in the shade. But it's warm and sunny and having noticeable effects on people who are exposed to it, Brett Schneider said. Last weekend, the same area was much cooler than normal, which would appear to be ideal mushing condition. The warmer conditions are being driven by an area of high pressure, he said. Many communities in the nation's largest state in land area hit record highs this week, from Kodiak off southern coast of Deadhorse, the supply town for oil companies operating on the state's northern slope, about 1,250 miles away. Along the Iditarod race route, the community of McGrath didn't set records but had a high Wednesday of 36 degrees Fahrenheit, 14 degrees above normal. More telling was a low temperature of 27 degrees Fahrenheit, which, well, it should be noted that water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Normally it should be below zero, Brett Schneider said. During the race, mushers must take one 24-hour layover at a checkpoint to rest. Part of where to take that layover plays into a major strategy for most every musher. Nick Pettit took out his mandatory rest early in the race at checkpoint in Ally because the sun was out. I like hot dogs. Just not my dog as a hot dog, said Pettit, who was born in France and raised in New Mexico.
Wow, that's a crazy
The race started Sunday in Willow, just north of Anchorage. Mushers will take their dog teams over two mountain ranges, the frozen Yukon River and the Bering Sea Ice, to finish in Nome. The winner is expected sometime early next week. Your story.
Okay. Racing dogs are not really racing through the cold as they're supposed to. They must overheat.
Yeah, they're overheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't race on snow if it's melting either.
Yeah, or ice, famously.
Yeah, well, I think they freeze pretty solid, so a little warm weather doesn't totally thaw out the rivers and the lakes. Go ahead.
Okay. For my news, some internal news about healthcare costs in the Netherlands. Minister Kuipers of Public Health takes into account the healthcare costs could rise sharply in the near future. He says that in response to a message from the Telegraph. It states that in coming years, policyholders will spend tens of euros extra each month on healthcare premiums. I have the article here on the Telegraph from The Hague. This is evident, they say it's evident from the Central Planning Bureau. The healthcare premium has already risen more than a tenner this year to around 138 euros per month. This is likely to increase rapidly in the coming years. The CPB expects that health insurance will cost 175 euros per month in 2027. Rising healthcare costs are the main cause for higher premiums due to the aging population and wage increases. These will only increase further, making health insurance more expensive again. The rising premiums work against the already limited increase in purchasing power of the coming years, the CPB writes. This also warns that almost 1 million people will drop below the poverty line next year if government does not come up with new support. Kuipers does not want to anticipate any premium increases, however. He does not expect healthcare costs to rise sharply, partly due to the arrival of new expensive medicines. If that happens, we'll have to see what we do about it, he says. The minister is concerned that people are avoiding the care they need because of the cost. We must prevent this at all costs. Yes, this is a short article, but I do want to do an opinion here. My current insurance is $128 a month, right? But because I grew up in America, I have not been to the doctor in 3 years. What am I paying for?
Because it's too free or what?
I think it's because it's like the things I want to go to the doctor for are like long-term issues.
So?
No, but I'm just saying because they were long-term before I moved here, they've already been put on like the back burner of importance, right? I was already like, it's probably not a big deal before I even came here. And then I'm in a place that will actually like try to help me, and I'm just like, I've already given up on it like 3 years ago.
Yeah, maybe they'll help you.
Personally, but
maybe they'll help you. You don't even know.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, things only get attention when they hurt, I suppose.
Yeah.
Next story.
Yep. You're free to go.
Okay, if you were to place a bet, which story would you think? And I'm asking you, which charges would you think Donald Trump will be charged with first? Okay, you got four. You got four choices. Which one? Would you think the Georgia grand jury? The insurrection? The stealing of classified documents? Or there's a fourth possibility. Which one was that be?
What's the fourth one?
Her name is Stormy.
Oh, okay. I think it's more likely the classified documents one.
Yeah.
That's what the one I'm going to choose.
You may be wrong. Prosecutors signaled criminal charges of Trump were likely. The former president was told that he could appear before a Manhattan grand jury next week if he wishes to testify, a strong indication that an indictment could soon follow. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office recently signaled to Donald Trump's lawyers that he could face criminal charges for his role in the payment of hush money to a porn star.
Oh, wow. The
strongest indication yet that the prosecutors are nearing the indictment of the former president. Now, you gotta understand, Michael Cohen's already been to prison for this. The exact same thing. For helping him. He's named in the indictment. He's named in the conviction as individual A. Okay, or individual 1. Okay. All right. The prosecutors offered Mr. Trump a chance to testify next week for the grand jury that has been hearing evidence in a potential case, the people said. Such offers almost always indicate an indictment is closed. It would be unusual for the district attorney, Alvin L. Bragg, to notify a potential defendant without ultimately seeking charges. In New York, potential defendants have the right to answer questions in the grand jury before they're indicted, but they rarely testify. Mr. Trump is likely to decline the offer. His lawyers could also meet privately with the prosecutors in hopes of fending off criminal charges. Any case would mark the first indictment of a former American president in history and could spend up in the 2024 presidential race, in which Mr. Trump remains a leading contender. Also elevate Mr. Bragg to the national stage, though not without risk. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Here they go editorializing at the end. It also elevate Mr. Bragg to the national stage. I gotta do it with the Rupert Murdoch outrageous Australian accent. It's elevate Mr. Bragg to the national stage and without risking a conviction in the Coldplay case as well from the should. I'm 172 years old. Anyway, that's my
maybe a little too loud. Maybe too loud there because your mic couldn't handle the Australian accent.
I was trying to do that. Remember the guy who used to do Lifestyles Rich and Famous? You might not have heard of him. Robin something or other. What was his name? He used to do Lifestyles Rich and Famous.
Watch that.
Yeah, that was his voice. His guy is really rich. I can't stand it. He got 72 cars. That's how he talked.
Yeah, okay.
Here's a picture of his wife. She's better looking than any of my children. He just hates poor people and lavishes praise on rich people for being rich. That was the worst show ever. He's got 9 swimming pools and he can't swim.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Mr. Trump has faced an array of criminal investigations and special counsel inquiries over the years. First president impeached twice. First president to get a whole bunch of votes to impeach him from his own party. I think it was 7 or 8. I think it's 7 votes, 7 or 8 votes. Anyway, Mr. Bragg could become the first prosecutor to charge Mr. Trump, but he might not be the last. In Georgia, Fulton County District Attorney is investigating whether Mr. Trump has interfered in the 2020 election. And at the federal level, a special counsel is scrutinizing his effort to overturn the election results, as well as his mishandling of hundreds of classified documents.
Hundreds. Yeah, see, that's the one I thought was going to win.
But you understand, Michael Cohen is the guy that's already gone to prison for the same crime.
Yeah.
So it would follow that
the actual perpetrator, he is like secondary, right? He's second, and he's not the person who did the bribing or the hush money, right? But he is the one who told the hush money to be delivered. It is from his bank account of one of his bank accounts. Yeah.
Mr. lawyers are sure to attack Mr. Cohen, who in 2018 pleaded guilty, they say, They don't say pled. I don't know why it's pleaded. Why isn't it pled? Guilty to federal charges related to hush money. The $130,000 payout came when Mrs. Daniels' representatives contacted the National Choir to offer exclusive rights to her story about an affair with Mr. Trump. David Pecker, the tabloid's publisher, a longtime ally of Mr. Trump, had agreed to look out for potentially damning stories, bought the story, and was about to what's called a catch and kill, pay for the story and kill it. But Mr. Pecker didn't bite at Mr. Daniels' story. Instead, he and the tabloid's top editor, Dylan Howard, helped broker a separate deal between Mr. Cohen and Mrs. Daniels' lawyer, and that's how the deal went down. Your story.
Oh, right. My story, we're not talking about anything about hush money. Instead, we're talking about the purchase of an oil tanker to prevent an oil spill in Yemen. The United Nations has brought a large oil tanker to prevent an environmental disaster off the coast of Yemen. An old super tanker, the Safer, has been lying full of crude oil in the Red Sea for years. The Safer has been operating as an offshore oil storage facility for Yemen since the 1980s near the port of Hodeidah. Since the outbreak of the civil war in the country in 2014, no maintenance has been carried out on the ship. The UN fears the tank will break up or explode in the foreseeable future. A huge amount of oil would end up in the sea. Safer carries almost 175 million liters of crude oil on board. The ship is under control of the Houthi rebels who are fighting a coalition led by Saudi Arabia in the civil war. A major oil spill would be devastating for the people living along the Yemen's coast who depend on the fishing. Also, buying the oil tank would give us a lot of oil, and then we can use it to make more money. Just kidding, that's not what they said. That first part was right.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like a lot of oil.
I'm just saying, conveniently, you're also purchasing a lot of oil, okay? It's not just the tanker, it's what's in the tanker, right?
Well, it's not permanent. It's just...
Yeah. Well, it's been permanently docked there, right?
But they've been keeping it filled up, though, right?
Yeah,
Storage.
they've been keeping it filled up in the ocean since the 1980s, right?
That'll keep the tanks from rusting.
Yeah. Entire communities would be exposed to dangerous toxins. Millions would be affected by air pollution. The UN has been looking for a solution to the ghost ship for years and has collected money from donors, companies, and individuals to empty the tanker. The operation will cost at least $129 million. The Dutch government has also donated money. This involves a total of 15 million euros. With the ship that the UN has brought, the oil must be safely disposed of into my bank account. The super tanker will be surfaced in China and expected to be in the Red Sea in May for a start of operations. So they're like, okay, we're the UN, we're not technically a country, but let's purchase an oil tanker and then put it to work so we can get some income into the UN that isn't like some independent income into the UN. It's great. Okay.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I mean, is it an oil tanker? It's just property. It's like owning a book or something, right?
Yeah, but they specifically said they're putting it to work in the main.
I suppose, but it isn't like it's going to hold a lot of oil.
Well, it's holding 175 million right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It doesn't last that long. It really doesn't.
Oh, okay. It's organic, that's true.
Yeah, you're right. It comes right out of the ground. Nobody had to make it somewhere.
Organic.
Yeah, people don't think of oil as organic, but yeah, it oozes right out of the ground. We didn't make it with a kit. Nature did. All right. Robert Blake. If you remember Robert Blake, he played Barretta on TV and was accused of killing his wife a few years ago. Acquitted. Has died Thursday at the age of 89. A statement released on behalf of his niece, Noreen Austin, said Blake died from heart disease, surrounded by his family at home in Los Angeles. Blake, star of 1970 shows Barretta, a pretty good show about an undercover cop, had once hoped for a comeback. Okay, he had once hoped for a comeback, but he never recovered from the long ordeal, which began with the shooting death of his wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley, outside the Studio City restaurant on May 4th, 2001. The story of their strange marriage, the child it produced, and its violent end was a Hollywood tragedy played out in court. Once hailed among the finest actors of his generation, Blake became better known as the center of a real-life murder trial, a story more bizarre than any in which he acted. Many remembered him not as a rugged, dark-haired star of Barretta, but as a spectral, white-haired murderer defendant. In 2002 interview with the Associated Press while he was jailed awaiting trial, he bemoaned the change in his status with his fans nationwide. It hurt because America is the only family I had. He was adamant that he had not killed his wife, and the jury ultimately acquitted him. But a civil jury would find him liable for her death and ordered him to pay Bakley's family of $30 million, a judgment which set him into bankruptcy. The daughter he and Bakley had together, Rose Lenore, was raised by other relatives and went for years without seeing Blake until they spoke in 2019. He would tell People magazine that she called him Robert, not Dad. It was an ignominious finale for life lived in the spotlight from childhood. As a youngster, he starred in the Our Gang comedies and acted in the movie classic A Treasure of the Sierra Madre. And as an adult, he was praised for his portrayal of real-life murderer Perry Smith in the movie In Cold Blood, made from Truman Capote's true crime bestseller. His career peaked in the 1975-1970 cop series Barretta, which starred as a detective who carried a pet cockatoo on his shoulder and was fond of disguises. It was typical of his specialty, portraying tough guys with soft hearts, and his signature line, "Don't do the crime if you can't do the time." Another thing he also had TV commercials. I'm trying to think of what it was for. But in the TV commercials, he would say, and that's the name of that tune. That was the end of it. He was born Michael James Gubitosi on September 18th, 1933 in Nutley, New Jersey. His father, an Italian immigrant, and his mother, an Italian American, wanted their three children to succeed in show business. At age 2, Blake was performing with a brother and sister in a family vaudeville called The Three Little Hillbillies. He went on to work with Hollywood legends, playing with young Garfield in Hermeresque in 1946, and a little boy who sells Humphrey Bogart a crucial lottery ticket, and the Oscar-winning The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Ed goes on to list his other film credits. They're not terribly lengthy. He really probably wasn't in anything after Barretta, but Robert Blake, gone at the age of 89. Your story. If you're still there.
Okay. I'm still here.
Right.
This is awkward because you also covered media and culture news, which is,
oh boy,
famous. So I'm not sure. I guess we'll talk about this news from March 10th.
We can do this day in history.
Today is March 10th.
All right.
What day is
this day in history.
No, my news is about the British monarchy and how Britain's Prince Edward, age 59, has received the title of the Duke of Edinburgh on Friday. The birthday prince takes over the title from his brother King Charles, who was made Duke of the Scottish capital after the death of their father Philip. The dukedom was created for Prince Philip in 1947, just before he married Elizabeth. After his death in 2021, Charles took over the title. Edward's wife, Sophie Rhys-Jones, is given the title of Duchess of Edinburgh. The couple will hold these titles until their deaths. "We are proud to carry on the Prince Philip's legacy," the couple said in a statement. "With this, we can help young people from all backgrounds to achieve great things."
Oh, yeah.
The title Duke is mainly symbolic. It indicates how important the role of this person is to the royal family. It does not mean that they rule over the territory they are a Duke of. As Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip was a patron of more than 800 charities. Many of them support underprivileged young people. Edward and Sophie are expected to take over these tasks. Until today, Prince Edward held the Earl of Wessex title. This title goes to his son, James 15. The brand new Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh will visit the Scottish capital later on Friday. The couple will present a reception that commemorates the war in Ukraine, British media reports. we go. Now we can do this day in history.
And now all you British people can go out there and be proper British subjects, just like you always wanted. And speaking of Britain, on this day in 1960, British politician Harold Wilson, who led the Labour Party before general elections, was born in 1916. You don't know who Harold Wilson is? He was in the song Taxman. You know, he goes, Taxman, Mr. Wilson. That's him. And then Taxman, Mr. Heath. That was Edwin Heath, who was the other party's leader, who was also prime minister for a while. Anyway, a little history about the Beatles lyrics there. Taxman. That's because they had a 95% tax rate on artists. 95%. That song was legitimately correct. One for me. One for you, 19 for me. Yep. Civil rights leader Ralph David Abernathy was born this day in 1926. He marched with Martin Luther King. That's what they say about all civil rights leaders, as if they never did anything else. He marched with Martin Luther King. Okay, that's That's it. That's all he ever did. Anyway, William Howard Taft was the first president to be buried in Arlington National Cemetery. It'd be something if he's born there. But no, he was buried there, and apparently quite a large man. I think they used it. He was well over 300 pounds. So. And also on this day, Rupert Murdoch was born in Melbourne, Australia. Put another prawn in the barbie. They don't say shrimp in Australia, by the way. Put another prawn in the barbie. Put another prawn on the barbie. That should be a song. Put another prawn on the barbie. Boom.
You're going crazy with your voices today.
All right. Gotta test the full range of the microphone.
Yeah.
On this day in 1959, Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun became the first play to be produced on Broadway that was written by an African-American woman.
Nice.
And on this day, 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev. 1985, succeeded Konstantin Chernenko as leader of the Soviet Union. And the begin of the decline and fall of the Soviet Union started in 1985 with the election of Mikhail Gorbachev. Also coincided with my entry into the Marine Corps. Coincidentally, the Berlin Wall fell November 9th, 1989. 3 days before I got out of the Marine Corps. Coincidence? I think not. You're welcome.
Caused it all.
Exactly. My work was done. I got out of the Marine Corps, went home. Also, do we have anything?
Just like Hopper from Stranger Things. You did the
also,
same.
Bobby McFerrin's birthday. Don't worry, be happy. You know that song?
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's sing it. I'll do this part, and you do the. You do that part, okay? You go.
Well, you want me to go da 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 da? You want me to?
Hey, I do. I'll do the bass part.
I don't remember the bass part of the song. I don't know when to come in.
It's like that. So, yeah. Anyway, love that. That song was popular when I was in Okinawa, man. People were saying all damn day. Oh my God, you're in the Marine Corps singing that. Don't worry, be happy. Oh my God, what a bunch of annoying assholes they much in that. Jesus.
All right, is that it for today?
And 3 years ago today,
3 years
the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 outbreak was a pandemic. Woo, happy pandemic day, everybody! Woo.
My life went down.
3 years of being recluses and hating each other even more, if we even thought that was possible.
I've been in quarantine since. Outside, never heard of it.
Well, quarantine, that's my name now. I grew this beard. I started this. My hair started before the quarantine. I was a really short-haired guy. All right, that's all the damage we can do today.
From Europe, talking about the royal family and buying oil tankers. I hope to see you on Monday for exciting news over the weekend, and on Monday, of course.
Oh God, it's Friday?
It's Friday.
Hey, it's Friday! Woo! And don't worry, be happy. That's an order. And bye for United States on after coffee. And I'm gonna get my guitar out and write me a new song. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels: Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.